Before we start our program, let me give you some reminders to ensure that we will have an orderly and productive program for today. First, this session will be recorded. And secondly, all participants will be on mute all throughout the duration of the program. And third, for our Q&A session, kindly type your questions in the Q&A box. Only questions in the Q&A box will be entertained. Again, a pleasant morning, parents. I am Mr. Lawrence Bruce Acosta, student mentor of grades 4 and 5, and I will be your MC for today's webinar. Welcome to our career parenting webinar with the topic, The Future is Here, helping Setonian parents become career advocates. This is indeed a big day for us to learn more about how we can guide our children as they explore their skills and interests in preparation for their future careers. But first, may I request everyone to observe a moment of silence as we pray our opening prayer, followed by the Philippine National Anthem. Thank you, everyone. To formally start our program, let us all welcome the Unit Head of Center for Student Wellbeing, Ms. Eden Calara, for the welcome remarks.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to our dear parents, administrators, and PTA officers. Thank you for being with us today in our parenting webinar, which is part of our annual Career Week. During the past week, we have conducted activities for our learners to guide them as they prepare for junior high school, senior high school, college, and even their future careers. But of course, their journey to discover what they want to pursue in the future would not be possible without your support. And that is why we are here today. We want to help empower you in becoming career advocates for your children. Together, let us create an environment, both at home and in school, that will encourage our children to be true to themselves and freely discover what they are capable of doing. Thank you and have a blessed day ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Eden. Allow me to introduce to you our guest speaker. Our resource speaker is a registered guidance counselor and a licensed professional teacher. She earned her master's degree in counseling from De La Salle University. She is currently a guidance consultant at Amazing Grace School at San Pedro, Laguna, and she is in private practice at Safe Space Counseling and Consultation Services. Parents, let us all welcome Ms. Maricel H. Candelaria.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, our Setonian parents. Blessed morning to all of you, our administrators, our PTA officers. Welcome to our webinar this morning. And first, I want to congratulate all of you today because your presence means a lot. You know, I always say this to all the webinars that I've conducted, that your presence today means that you want to involve yourself in your child's career. You may be busy all throughout the weekend, but you take time to at least be present in this webinar to know how you will be able to empower your children to make career choices in the future. So let's start our webinar this morning. Let me share to you my slide. Well, we have a very good topic today. The title is The Future is Here, Helping Setonian Parents Become Career Advocates. You know, in this time, no, we have a lot of thought as a parent because we have a lot of roles to portray. And one of them is to become career advocates. It will add on to our list of roles and responsibilities. But let me start today by quoting a verse or maybe a word from Matthew Jacobson. It says here, behind every young child who believes in himself is a parent who believes first. It's true, my dear parents, that we are the first ones who believe in the ability of our children. We are their number one fan. That's why some of you can relate to me whenever you appreciate your child and say, that's my child. I am proud of my child because we are the ones who believe in the ability of our children first. And that will leave at least a good courage in them to also believe in themselves. Well, the role of parents play an important role in building as well as diminishing their children's career. My dear parents, we have an important role in building their career because all of us know that we would wish the best for our children. Of course, we want the best for them. We want them to be happy and we want them to have a good career. Now, what is the reason? No, if I would ask you, what is the reason? Why do I need to prepare them? Why do I need to be a career advocate. Why do we need to prepare these children? Because we are in a VUCA world. What do I mean by VUCA world? Why do we have to prepare their future? Because with everything that has been happening in us and around us, there are changes, there are uncertainty. It's natural for us to understand that the world is really uncertain. First, there is volatility. When you say volatility, there is a rapid and sudden change. We are all aware, my dear parents, that in the last pandemic, we are not prepared. It is a sudden and rapid change. Can you imagine? We From face to face to online, suddenly we had a lot of changes, even at school and even at home. Some of you would have to work from home. So the world is really volatile, no? There's volatility. Next, there is uncertainty. When we say uncertainty, there's an inability for us to know what will happen. It's uncertain. There is a pending change. No one will know. Even us, we don't know what will happen to our children. It's unclear yet at this time. It's unclear. We are unclear about the present. And even with the situation around us, uh, we don't know when will it end. Next is complexity. When we say complexity, there are distinct variables. There are a lot of choices, multiple choices, multiple options, multiple variations that are in store for our children. That's why we need multiple key decision factors. And lastly, we have ambiguity. When you say ambiguity, there's too many unknown. And there is lack of clarity about the meaning of the event. There are circumstances with many meanings, and it requires objectivity without projecting biases. Now, with this world that we are facing right now, my dear parents, with the VUCA world, there's volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. It is right to say that we really need to prepare our children because we don't know what will happen to them. It's very uncertain. There are changes going on here and then. So, as part of their lives, and even as parents, we want to raise them up in the way at least they should go, and in a way that we can prepare them with this kind of world that we are into. Now, for us as parents, it says in our webinar that we are career advocates. Before we understand that we are advocates, we have first to understand what is career. Well, if I would ask you, there are a lot of ideas, words that might come into your mind whenever we talk about career. So maybe also you will be thinking some of the words listed on the screen. It can be your dream job. It has something to do with education, knowledge. It has something to do with aspirations, your happiness. It can be an opportunity. It can be an employment. We can be talking about skills, success, position, job, and a lot more. But if we come to think of it, if we come to think of it, between career and job, it is important for us to define which is which, no? When we speak of career, my dear parents, it means that it is derived, well, according to the French word, it is derived from the word carrier. It means we are carrying our children. We are leading them to a high road. It seems like they are a racehorse running a race, running in a competition, and they need to at least reach that finish line. But when we look at in the dictionary, no, the meaning of career, we can say that it is the course of one's life. It means it is the path that we are taking. It also means that we are progressing through life, especially in a particular pursuit. When we speak of career, we can say that it is our life work, our profession, our occupation. It can also mean our calling, the ones that we pursue throughout a lifetime. We can also say that when we talk about career, it is a development of our human potentials and meaningful ways of using them. Now, according to Confucius, he said, choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. Well, it's true. It's easier to do a work. It's easier to do a job when we love what we are doing. I remember I started teaching 1999. It's been like 23 years and I keep on teaching because I love what I'm doing. And then after teaching comes counseling. I started doing counseling in 2012 and up to now, even in my private practice, I'm still doing it. You never get tired of doing it because you love what you're doing. I can still imagine I'm having like 20 loads of cases a day, as if my voice are really tired and I really can't I can't speak because of uh, a lot of counseling and teaching opportunities. But you know, you never get tired because you love what you're doing. Well, career is broader than a job or a position. It's not just a job. It's not just a position. It's easy to say that I have a stable job. It's easy to say that I have a successful position. I am in a higher position. But when we talk about career, it is something else. Because when we say job, it is what a person does from day to day, according to our position, according to our function. But career is broader than that. It is a course that one person takes as determined by the choices and decision that she would make. It depends on the choices and the decision she makes in her work, in education, and lifestyle. I'll give you an example. A person is in an accounting career. I don't know who's in an accounting career here as parent. A person is in an accounting career because she specialized in accounting, studied for and took the CPA, accepted an entry level in accounting, and has had series of jobs in accounting. So we can say that that person is indeed in an accounting career because a career is what a person is passionate about. That's why it doesn't matter if that career will last for a lifetime because you are passionate about it. You love what you're doing. Sometimes people would ask, how are you going to stay in that kind of career since you are not well compensated? You are receiving a low salary. How come you can survive? And that people would say, because I love what I'm doing. I am passionate about it. When you have a career, you pursue it for a long period of time, sometimes for a lifetime. I remember my mom, she doesn't have any kind of job when she graduated in college. And when she retired, no, she retired after 42 years of government service. I asked her, how come, mom, you weren't able to apply in another job? Because nowadays, when you see the trend, people will bank from one company to another company. But 42 years is 42 years. And one thing that reminded me that she said, because I love what I'm doing and this is my career. What an impressing answer, no, about passion, about that career. Well, not other than that, some person would take a selling career. That's their passion. Or maybe an educator, a lawyer, a medical doctor, an artist, a writer. We can say that a person is in the right career when she's initiated by her own self-development. You see, when you are in that career, you initiated your own development, your enhancement. You continuously improve yourself and hone your knowledge and skills. And you see, mentoring or sharing your knowledge, your skills, your expertise with others with the same interests and potentials come naturally. It's not like a routine, but it would come naturally because you love it. Well, for some people, they prepare for a career by going into a formal training. Later, we will discuss this. Or by pursuing an educational or vocational or technical program. It all started with a formal training. Because if you want to pursue something, if you want to pursue a certain career, it will start from your decision to initiate self-development. Oh, I want to learn from it. I want to be trained from this kind of career. I want to be trained in this kind of vocation in this program. Well, somehow it compasses a number of jobs and job position that we would seek depending on the career path that we will pursue. And we have also some realizations nowadays that some people, it's a reality, no, that people shift their careers. They change their careers, no? And as parents, at least we would like to prepare our children not to experience that in the future, but well, don't get me wrong that some people would have really decided to change their careers for some purposes, like life circumstances. From single to married, they have change of values, change of priorities, change of needs. There are a lot of reasons why people change their careers. But even no, as parents, we want to prepare our children to have a stable career and to prepare them in the future. Now, this is another realization that a hobby can also become a career. I'll give you an example. For instance, a woman who has raised orchids. I don't know who can relate for those of you who are plantitos, plantitas, who raise orchids as a hobby and now devotes her full time to it. How? Learning about it, experimenting about hybrids, studying the marketing aspects, and eventually going into a large-scale orchid productions, marketing, and distributions. So that's where a hobby becomes a career. Another example, baking. You can start it as a hobby, but later it becomes a career, and later somehow you can operate a bakery or a bake shop, and it can become a family business. What do we want to emphasize here, my dear parents? First, as career advocates, we have to understand really what is a career. It's more than a job. It's more than a position. It's something that we really love to do and it will last for a lifetime. And it involves our passion. It involves our determination that we really want to step into it, devote our time into it, and discover more about our skills. Knowing that we have defined what is a career, now we can say that as a career advocate, when we say advocate, my dear parents, It means we are the supporter of our children when it comes to career choices. We are the backer. Somehow, like a vaccine, we are their booster. We are their proponent. We are the true believer that they can. We are the true believer that our children can make it in their future. They can reach their goals. And we are the promoter. All right? So, the main bulk of our discussion this morning is particularly our role as parents in our children's career choices. Because it's very important to understand that we have a specific role to build. We have a specific role to portray to our children. Are we ready? Okay. The role of parents in their child's career choices. For us to remember, I've created like 5 roles that we can apply, all starting with letter C, that will remind us about career. All right? So first role, my dear parents, let us create a safe space. I did not include safe space, not because I'm from safe space counseling and consultation services. But when we speak about safe space, my dear parents, it's having a kind, loving, and accepting place at home where one can speak the truth without filters and without judgment. For us to really become a supporter, for us to become really a promoter and true believer of our children, in particular with their career choices, we have to first create a safe space at home. It means we are creating a loving and accepting place where one can speak, where one can freely express their feelings. There's no filter, there's no judgment, there's no biases or prejudice, where our children can really speak what they want and they will not hide it to themselves. I remember one time when I counseled a student and I told that student, why don't you tell that to your parents? That's your plan. That's your goal. That's your aspiration. And he would said, I'm not allowed to talk at home. It's sad. It's sad to hear from a child that he's not allowed to talk at home. But the first thing that we need to really create is a safe space. A safe space where we can find peace at home. A loving, a kind, and accepting place at home. The question now is, what kind of environment do we have at home? Is there, do we have a place where one can speak, one can raise their suggestions, one can raise their opinions, one who would open up their likes, their interests, their plans, and aspirations? Sometimes we tend to impose our ideas and beliefs about success, how to be successful, and what constitutes a good job or ideal life. Remember, anything that we feed back to our children is based on our beliefs and our own experiences. There's nothing wrong about sharing our beliefs. There's nothing wrong about sharing our experiences in life. It's good that it's part of our conversation. It's part of our building relationship in the family. But to impose them may not be healthy for our children. Many of us, or some of us, not generalizing, but these are from experiences, would make mistakes. Some would have failed dreams failed ambitions. Some would have not reached their dream jobs. And sadly, some are trying to shield their children from the mistakes that they have made before, whether knowingly or unknowingly. And also, some would also do a lot. Some would say and tell their children that, okay, it's good that you will do it, and then just let them be. It's the opposite. It's the opposite naman, wherein they will just allow their children to choose, and they would not mind them at all. It's for you to do it. Just I will just give you the tuition fee. I'll just pay the school. It's up to you. No. So we need to get involved and to create a safe space where we can express our feelings. Our children can also express their feelings, their interests, their aspirations in life. It is good to have a safe space at home. Can you agree with me, my dear parents? It's good. You can have a emoji. You can have a thumb sign. It's up to you, no? As long as you, at least in this webinar later, we have some realizations that we need to create a safe space where one can voice out the ideas, the plans, the goals, no, that we can offer to our children. Because it's also a reality that the career has changed already. From 20 or 30 years ago, there are changes already. So the first one is to create a safe space, which is needed for our children to open up their feelings, their likes, their interests, their plans, and where there are no prejudice, judgments, and biases. All right? So we move on to the second role. After creating a safe space, the second role that we need to understand is to comprehend our child's interests. It's good that we need to understand and to know our child's interest. Take time to observe our children. Take time to observe our teenagers about their interests, what they like, what they would want to do. Because every child is born with some special talent. And parents play a big role in recognizing that talent. Well, everyone has a unique set of skills and aptitudes. Each child is individual in their own way, and so many possess different skills and abilities to their parents. Well, in this mind, adopting a similar career role to either parent may not be the right course of action. Since we know that each child is different, we can also say that our children are also different when it comes to the interest, when it comes to the likes pertaining to our own likes and interest. We all take time to find our feet. So, my dear parents, it takes time. So I want to congratulate our parents who are still, whose children are still in the elementary. You have a long way at least to understand and to discover, no, to know your child's interest, to at least discover what they would want during their conversation with other people, during their schooling. You can actually observe what are their interests. Though it may seem they're doing the right thing in terms of steering their children in the right direction, we also need to understand that we all need space and time to discover what our children would want to pursue. The challenge here is for us to educate our children that life is about self-discovery and new skills. We can all relate that when we were 18, no, when we were still teenagers, we can only make decisions based on what we know ourselves at that time. So our children needs our guidance in a way that they do not know everything about themselves, about what they want, about what path to take. So we are advocates, we are supporters. When we say supporters, we do not pressure them by letting them know that if you would not take this course, it's up to you, or at least giving them the right as well to discover themselves. It is for us to observe our children's interests and choices from their childhood. Well, there are high cases of our children who will build successful career in that particular area. So in this way, we will be able to know their career choices and that we will be able to know and guide them accordingly. Bill Gates once said that whatever you enjoy doing during your teenage year should be the basis of their career choice. Somehow, it makes sense that during our teenage years, we are so passionate about doing something. Somehow, we have the drive, we have the motivation, and we have the goal to pursue a particular career. So somehow, he's saying that the teenagers, might consider that kind of career choice, of course, with the guidance and the advocacy of their parents. Well, it's not only knowing our children's interest, my dear parents, but knowing our children's level of intelligence, because it has something to do as well with the career that they are going to take. Well, according to psychologists, there are four types of intelligence. First, this is the very familiar, we all familiar with it, the IQ. It measures our children's comprehension skills, their ability. How do they understand? How do they solve math? How do they memorize things? How do they recall the subject matters? And I think in this institution, they have some assessments to gauge this type of intelligence. And also in the NCAI, it is part of it. But knowing our children's IQ is not enough for us to say that he's in that career. There are either some other areas that we need to understand, because some would focus on the IQ alone. But other than the IQ alone, we need to consider the rest of the three. Second is the emotional quotient. It measures the ability of our children to make peace with others. Somehow to keep to time, to be responsible, to be honest, to respect boundaries, to be humble, genuine, and considerate. That's why some would result in helping people as their career, being a social worker, because this quotient is very high on them, that they really want to help people, no? Other than that, we have the social quotient. What do we mean by that? It is the measure of the ability to build a network of friends and maintain it over a period of time. So it has something to do with engaging with people. A person with a high SQ would tend to deal with careers pertaining to orienting with people. It can be engaged into business, dealing with people, marketing, and the like. And the last one is the adversity quotient. You know, when we speak of EQ, we speak of the ability to go through a rough patch in life and come up without losing mind. You know, this AQ determines who will give up in troubles, who will abandon their families, and who will consider suicide. If your AQ is high, it means that you were able to go through rough patches of life and you were able to survive. There's a high level of resilience. There's a high level wherein you can overcome and you can cope with all the challenges of life. So I think in schools, the concentration is not only the IQ, but we also pertains to the EQ, which represents the character of the children, the SQ, which represents the charisma of the children, and also the adversity quotient, which represents the ability of our children to become resilient and to bounce back. Because this is a reality in the context of the pandemic. Many professionally successful people are going through bouts of depression because they haven't seen and thus unprepared for adversity. So as parents, we need at least to concentrate and to comprehend on our child's interest, not only their likes, what they would want, but also their level of intelligence, because that's part of preparation. That's part of preparing them for their career path. They should become at least multifaceted human beings, able to become independent in their career paths. Now we can say that let us not prepare the road for our children, but prepare our children for the road. They have a long way to travel, but if they are prepared, they can stand on the road. There might be rugged roads along the way. They might experience a lot of challenges, but when we have the chance as career advocates to prepare them and to back them up, prepare and understand their interests and their intelligence, we can say that they can actually face whatever lies on the road because they are prepared. All right, so the first is to create a safe space. Number two, comprehend our child's interest. Number three, we need to commit to our child's needs. We have to understand what are our children's needs. Well, for us to discover what are their needs, this is what I always say. Time is the key. For us really to commit to our child's need, time is the key, because love is time. We ought to at least spend time with them. What do I mean by that? Create opportunities for them to bring their thoughts on the table and see, how can I support you? For instance, after dinner, your child will approach you and will open up about a particular course that he would want to pursue. May we all create a commitment to at least address to the needs. Our presence is very important. Our presence at that time to not only listen, but to understand. It means that we are becoming considerate and accommodative of them. When we commit to our child's need, we take time to talk to them and ask about their plans and their career path. When we commit to their needs, we explore together. For instance, he would say, this is the career that I want pertaining to information technology. Let us explore them together. Explore that career together. When we commit, we research together. Oh, I have no idea about your career path. So I would take time to research on it, explore on it, so that I would understand, why do you like this? Why your interest is on this? Learning about the career options together. I usually ask, what is your first option? What is your second option? Let's explore them together. Our presence is very important in, in addressing to the needs of our children. You know, more than their basic needs, we are aware of that. Of course, they need clothing, they need shelter, they need a lot of things. But more than that, they also have the need to decide on themselves. That's one basic need that our children ought to learn. It's very important, my dear parents, to give our children the freedom to choose. Starting with, I know we have young parents here. How can we start them from learning how to decide? We can start from choosing their clothes, choosing their shoes. No? We can ask them, what kind of clothes do you want? As long as the proper guidance is there, no? What kind of shoes do you want to wear? Asking would start from addressing to the needs of them. What kind of school bag do you want to buy? What kind of bag do you want? And every other small thing they can. We can start from there. And it is something that can be developed. Oh, I have the ability to choose pala. I can choose pala. So they have that realizations that they have that kind of ability because that's their need, the need to decide. And in that way, they will gain that self-confidence, the self-esteem. They will boost the courage and the confidence within themselves that I can. Of course, we as parents will be there to guide and suggest, but but of course, leave the final decision on the child. And in this way, children learn to decide things for themselves so that they don't get confused and look at other people always for approval, because later on they would make major decisions in life. And some children who weren't taught how to decide will only depend on other people for them to make decisions, even when they grow older. So that they won't be confused, no? So that they won't be dependent on approval of other people in the future. It's very important to learn to make decisions. And this skill, this need is important for our children at a very early stage, including career choices. So let us commit to our child's needs. Well, the needs of our children are very peculiar. It's very unique. And it is us, and we as parents are the ones who can discover them. And upon discovery, it includes our commitment to address to their needs. And our presence mean a lot. Number 4, how are we going to play a role of a career advocate? Let us communicate with other career advocates. You know, being career advocates to our children is not our primary role only. It's not our responsibility and role alone. But we also have other career advocates, and we need to build communication with them. Who are they? I'm thankful that we have your teachers here, the counselors are here, the administrators are here. We are all partners, and we are building collaborative teamwork when it comes to our children, when it comes to our students. As parents, we always have the option to give our child professional support by seeking out to a career counselor. I was talking to one of your counselors yesterday because I want to know at least what are the different programs that are installed in this institution. And I am blessed to know that you are really pursuing this career advocacy with regards to their career choices and directing the students and guiding the students for the career track by giving assessments, no, by giving tests and assisting the students when it comes to their career decisions. Because there are some observations and feedbacks that as parents, we cannot see by our eyes. Some of them, they have been observed by other people. So when we try to communicate and to build relationship with other career advocates, we can also validate the things that we cannot see. Because it's a reality, some kids would really, or some children would really be open in school rather than at home. They tend to open up with their teachers, with their counselors, and sometimes when the parents are being called, some would like be shocked. Oh, that's my son, that's my daughter, that's how he reacts or behaves in school. So we need at least validation and at least collaborative teamwork with these career advocates. And it's good that they are giving assessments. It's good that they are giving feedback to us, no? So we can take that chance to really, we can take and grab that opportunity to communicate with these career advocates. For instance, we are asked to come so that they would discuss to us the results of their RIA-SEC, no? Or their NCAI result. It's good. I remember in the school where I'm working as a consultant, we usually call the parents for feedback regarding the NCAI results. And we do that in advance so that the parents would really take time. We usually do it on a weekend since we understand that some of them are working. So we ask the parents together with their corresponding child to come so that we could discuss the result. And later, we would again set another schedule for the student to at least have a feedback. What have you discussed or what have you at least talk about in the family so that we have at least a follow-up whether or not they were able to at least talk with each other. So it's good to communicate with these people. Sometimes we don't have any clue where to start, but somehow through the help of our other career advocates, they can help us go through, browse the career library. Sometimes we don't know the other career options, but with the help of these career advocates, we can take hold of some of those careers and we're able to understand all of this. And you know, when we communicate with these other career advocates, this not only shows that we care about our children, but we also assure the teacher, the counselors, and other partners that we value what they are doing and that we are committed somehow to support them for the benefit of our children. It is indeed a collaborative teamwork. Last role is to complement positive regards or positive feedbacks rather. What would this include? It would include comments, feedback, appreciation, which are all important to our children. Why? Because when we complement positive feedbacks, we boost their self-esteem, their morale, so that they can perform better. We need to be careful with the words. Why? Because words delivered cannot be recovered. Once we say something, once we deliver the words, whether it is negative feedback, negative comments, whether it is a harsh word or something that would hurt the feelings of our children, we cannot recover them back. So what are the rules that we need to understand? First, there are 3 rules. Involve, but do not control. When we say involve, we know what's happening. We know the details. We know their interest. We know their likes. We know their views. We know their values. We get involved. We know what is happening to them. We know where they would want to go in college, what kind of stream they would choose, what kind of strand they would choose. But let us not take control. Let us be involved, but do not take control. Second rule is advice, but do not decide. It's good that we give advice, we give suggestions, we give encouragement, we give motivation to develop and achieve in order for them to pursue their interests and their ambitions in life. It's good that we give advice, we give suggestions based from our experience, based from our journey in our career as well. But do not decide. Why? Because freedom to decide is one of the needs of our children to do. We are there to guide them, we are there to advise, but the decision is very crucial. At least, let us not decide. Lastly, is to support but do not dictate. When we say support, it means we aid. We aid, we give something, or we motivate, we encourage about the possible decision that they would make. We support our children's decision. I have a friend, no, he's stuck whether to study in New York and California, and they're living in California. So his parents would want him to stay in California. But when we asked the child, or rather the teenager, where do you want to study? And he said, I want to study in New York. And then he explained to his parents that in New York, aside from the quality of education that he will gain because of his course, but again, he would want to become as independent as possible, and he assured his parents to trust him. Later on, it turned out that they supported the child's decision. And right now, that child or that student, that teenager is excelling in his class. He was able to become so independent, able to make a decision of his own. He was supported by his parents, and he was able to at least jump into the first step, no, of gaining his courage and his confidence as a student. Give time and freedom to discover their skills. Well, in the long run, along the way, sometimes when they make a decisions, sometimes it's a reality that they also commit mistakes and failures. But again, as parents, we support them. We normalize the failures in what way? That from the role itself, we complement positive feedbacks. We don't say, oh, that's what I told you. You see, somehow those negative feedbacks will at least affect them. So instead, we need to support them. In what way? We encourage them that failure is a part of life. Failure is something somehow that we need to experience in life for us to at least become more innovative, at least a support that or an encouragement to our children that they need to constantly try new things without fear or being reprimanded. And at least it will turn out as well to become innovative and critical thinkers, that they have at least their positive perspective, that every time that somehow when they commit failures or mistakes, they still have their parents to support them and to aid them in everything that they do. Last but not the least, if we support our children in their career choices, it will encourage them to do a lot better in their careers. I always say there are two things that we can do: to become a supporter or to become a stressor. So it's good that we are supporters, right? We are advocates, we are boosters, we are backers, promoters. But on the other hand, if we demoralize them thinking that they didn't choose what you wanted them to do, it will surely harm them. Sometimes even if they excel in their career, they won't forget about the hurdles in their career path. And that's not the kind of relationship that we want with our children. So at least let us support our child's career and see them win the world. Well, the role of parents is very crucial in the lives of our children. It's very crucial, my dear parents. It's very challenging. But at least we should act as a guiding force, not an influential force to them. We understand their needs, their desires, in life. Now, to sum up, what are the roles that we need to portray in order for our children to empower them in their career choices? Number one is to create a safe space. Number two is to comprehend our child's interest. Number three is to at least commit to our child's needs. Number four, communicate with other career supporters. And lastly, let us complement positive feedbacks. Let us involve ourselves. Let us involve in our child's career. My dear parents, it's not too late. It's not too late to become a career advocate to our children. As I always say, yes, we can. And remember that in preparing our children, you are not alone. Of course, God is with us. And so, the dedicated teachers, staff, administrators of this institution. With this, we can approach the future with hope. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have questions, you can write it on the chat box. You can type it there. And you can also reach us at mysafespacecounseling@gmail.com. We have a Facebook page at The Safe Space and Instagram mysafespace.ph. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Miss Candelaria for enlightening us on our significant role in helping our children prepare for their future. Parents, the floor is now open for questions. Please feel free to type in your questions in the Q&A box. We will now be entertaining questions from our attendees. Just type in the Q&A box po. Okay, we have our first question from an anonymous sender po. So Miss Maricel, what if the children has no interest? He is grade 7 and he wants to be a waiter.
Okay, thank you for that question. The first that we need to ask is to at least validate on that particular student. Why does he like to be a waiter? Acknowledge, acknowledge, acknowledge. Oh, you want to be a waiter. Why do you want to be a waiter? What interests you to become a waiter? In that way, you can at least initiate something from your child to open up what interests him of becoming a waiter. Because later, somehow, students would change their interest. Maybe because they heard it from a friend or they watched something and that becomes an interest to them. So it's good to validate, to ask them, why do you want to become a waiter? And we can see from there, no, from his interests, what are his reasons? Or maybe he wants to serve other people. That's why he wants to become a waiter. Or maybe he became interested when you eat in a restaurant and the waiter did something, no, that amazes that student. So we need to understand what makes him interested in that kind of profession. It's a job, actually. It's a job to become a waiter. But the career path in going into that is something that you can discuss as a parent.
Thank you, Miss Maricel. Another question comes from an anonymous attendee also. How can you balance encouragement or still go on with the same interest and making them know to explore other options when you see that it seems really not to be a fit despite leads of trial?
Okay, that's a good one. Because as parents as well, we need to become creative in how we are going to convey our thoughts that we may not be misunderstood. It's good that we encourage them in a way by structuring, no? At the start of the conversation, we can structure in a way that, my son, my daughter, my child, I am here to give my honest opinion. No, it's good to be honest. It's good. Like in the first, we need to create a safe space. We need to be honest. You know what? This is the thought of your mom. This is the thought of your dad. I think this kind of profession is leading here. Just be honest. Just be honest. And encouragement in a way that can you consider? Can you consider and try to think about it? Let's try to explore it together. In that way, we are giving them at least the chance to think about it, to reconsider, because you're becoming honest and you are there. You are there to guide the child.
Thank you po. Thank you po, Miss. A parent of Sofia Pelayo is raising his or her hand. So I'll just allow her to talk po.
Okay, thank you.
Morning po, Miss Pelayo or
Yes, good
Mrs.
morning.
Pelayo.
Actually, kasi hindi ko alam mag-chat eh. Sorry. So, ayaw niyang mag-ano. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes po.
Okay. Question. This is more of a school concern kasi she's already grade 12. So, I just wanna know if actually there's a support from school in applying to different colleges kasi parang I can see kasi the struggle like applying in different schools. I just want to know if there's a support from Seton in doing this for them to, simplify kasi they're juggling from their assignment, from their projects and applying these different schools, beating the deadline of each school. Kasi sa panahon namin dati, yung mga eskwelahan yung pumupunta sa school namin and then we will just apply, blah, blah, blah. This time kasi I don't know how it works but I can see kasi the struggle na yun nga beating the deadline if applying in for example in UP or whatever yung mga ganon. So I
Yes.
just wanna make sure if there's support from your side to simplify things. Yun lang.
Friends, may I answer that question of Mrs. the mother of
Pelayo.
Sophia?
Yes, Mrs.
Ma'am,
Pelayo.
we have support. We start actually from, orientation. In fact, mula grade 10 po, mayroon kami. And then grade 11, mayroon po kami. Pag po yung bata ay grade 11 na, we announce also the colleges and universities that are open for accepting new applications. The SRU, particularly yung pong registrar's office, particularly Miss Eunice is the one, in charge on that. She prepares all the documents. What do you call this? She prepares all the documents that are necessary to apply in these colleges. Maano po, very active po ang support namin dyan, but the child has to have interest in these colleges kasi it is not for the SRU to determine what colleges or universities our children are interested in. But we give, notices to them, we email the advisors of the said grade 11 or grade 12 regarding these schools. For example po, ang UP, kumbaga open na, and then the deadline for submission, University of Santo Tomas and so forth and so forth. Very supportive po kami dyan, ma'am. Okay?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Just
thank you
you
so much.
Miss Eunice. Yes, ma'am. Okay?
Thank
you po.
Thank you po, Miss Gay, and thank you, Mrs. Pelayo. I hope we answered that question. Another anonymous question is, what are the right questions to ask if a child answers, I don't know, when asked what would you like to be or what interests you? Can you share the specific right questions po?
Mhm. Okay. It's really hard, no, to at least ask a child, but you at least you cannot start with a question, but first you can just build first a rapport or a relationship with the child. It can be something that is very informal, and along the way maybe the story that leading you or something that would lead you to ask the question, like, how do you see yourself? I usually ask this, how do you see yourself 5 years from now? What makes you happy? That's some questions that you can ask. What makes you happy? What makes you fulfilling? What makes you that sense of purpose in life? Sometimes if you want to ask that question, you don't drive the question right away. At least you set the mood and you set the environment so that the child would be able to think, oo nga no, what will I want to be 5 years from now? How do I see myself? Or maybe a hypothetical question, if you're given a chance to choose whether this profession or this, how are you going to choose? What will be your choice? it takes somehow creativity and flexibility depending on the personality of our children. And as parents, we know best. No, that's why in the content we need to observe how are we going to deal with them. I think that's few questions that we can ask depending on the situation and the personality of our children.
Thank you, Miss Maricel. For another question from Dan Tabo.
Mhm.
My son is very good and creative in playing games like Roblox and even building Lego models. How can we help him realize or motivate him further that this skill can probably help him chart his career? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I want to congratulate you, dear parents, because that you have a positive perspective on that kind of skill, no? Not concentrating on your consuming a lot of time in games, but you see it in a positive perspective that there are skills in that particular aspect. Maybe you can explore together, no? I don't know if you have the chance to at least play with a child so that you would understand better, no? Oh, this is the experience pala of playing this. And in that way, you can give some feedbacks. Oh, you're good. Because unless you are there in that kind of situation, you would not understand what is the game looks like, how does it work, how do you apply critical thinking, and how do you make a decision. So when you're in there, explore them together and at least research together. Oh, there's critical thinking here, no? There's somehow a skill of creativity and flexibility. And from there, you can research. You can research what are the career options or the career paths related to becoming so creative, related to becoming so innovative. What kind of skill would I at least observe while he's playing Roblox? And me, myself, as a parent, would actually experience. No? So explore together and you will find more career options together as a son and a father.
Thank you, Miss Maricel. I hope we answered that question, sir. And for the other question, what is the best answer if my child asks me, which is better, enrolling on my dream school with my unpreferred course or enrolling on any school with my dream course?
Mm, okay. You can answer honestly. No, you can answer honestly your preference. But in the structuring of your answer, whether you would choose the first or the second, it's my decision. And you can give back the question to him. What about you? It's just like rephrasing the your answer in such a way that this is my point because you have your own preference. But in structuring your answer, you would add that this is only my decision, but the decision will still be on your hand. The decision, you will still have the freedom to choose between the two. Answer it honestly. It's good to be honest. We will go back to creating a safe space. At least you try to become open. In that way, when you are open, resembling a model to our children, we can exemplify them becoming an open individual as well.
Thank you po. The next question is from an anonymous attendee also. How do we help improve a child adversity quotient? As smart as our kid is, she tends to get stressed and often cry and easily give up on her task. Seems to get hard for her. She is good but needs help on her confidence as well. Her personality also is more in the shy or introvert type. So perhaps that adds up to the challenge as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, because our parents now are observant with the types of intelligence, no? It's also good to monitor the adversity quotient. First, we need to acknowledge the situation that they're going through. For instance, the parent said that the child easily cries. Acknowledge that he is crying. And then ask the child, what makes you cry? And together as parents, let us process the situation. Don't just dismiss the emotion of crying, because there's a reason for crying. There's a reason for every behavior that our child is acting or performing. So acknowledge the behavior. Second, validate. Ask, what causes that kind of emotion to come out in a child's behavior? And then process. How do we process that? Well, it's normal to cry because there's a reason for crying. But you know, emotion is just like a wave. It has its high and low. Sometimes it will pass, but how we cope with it matters. So that's where the coping skills will follow. We as parents would want to help them cope, because adversity quotient is more of coping. It's more of overcoming a certain situation or a certain event in our life. Unless that we acknowledge that event is coming, then how can we cope? It's easy kasi to dismiss an event eh. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's okay. That's fine with me. And then later on, you will experience it again. Unless that you have to face that kind of adversity, that kind of event in your life, then we will be able to cope it. And as the child keeps on coping and overcoming, then the adversity quotient will go high.
Thank you, Miss Maricel, for that enlightening answer. And I hope we answered that question as well. And for the next question naman po, the line used by our dear speaker, be a guiding force versus an influencing force, resonated with me. Can you kindly elaborate and provide practical examples to differentiate the two?
That's a good observation, no? When we speak of guide, it's a support, no? When we say guide, we at least direct them, we lead them. When we guide, we show them. Oh, here, for example, here are the career options. That's guiding, no? You lay down. These are the options. But when you tend to influence it, I think this is the one that you would go. This one will be the one that you would choose. That is something of the influential force na, that we are taking away, no, our children to make right choices in their lives. So it's good that we guide them, we lead them, we direct them, but not in a way that we tend to be so controlling and influencing to them. I think that's term are just simple, but with that kind of illustration, I hope it would make sense.
Thank you po. The next question is from an anonymous attendee also. My child is in grade 2 and is very early to discover the career path he would like to pursue, and his interests are also in line with it since before he turned 2. Normally, it changes as children goes to school, but in his case, he is very consistent up to this day. How can I keep him in track with his chosen career path?
Mm-hmm. That's good that your child is at least very aware, no, of the interest as early as grade 2. But along the way, no, there are times that this interest may change, because somehow as early as grade 2, there are influences along the way, no? Grade 2 is just like 8, 9 years old. Is that right? Mga 8 or 9. So they are still in the developmental stage, no? So we as parents would at least be somehow a guide to them, monitoring their interest and helping them to still discover a lot more things about them. Kasi they are still in the period of self-discovery eh. No, there are a lot of things that they need to discover about themselves. So just stay on track with them. Being with them and showing them that you are there would matter. But along the way, of course, there are still a lot of discoveries.
Thank you po. Thank you po, Miss. I think that's all of the question. So if you have any questions po, you can still chat it in our Q&A box. And I think there is po. Hi, good day. Can this career advocate be recorded? Okay. Can this career advocate recorded video can be posted to our website so we can still view this matter or a special area in the website where, wait lang po, nawala. So, I think yes, the video recorded will be, the recorded video will be posted in our intranet po, in the CSW intranet. And you can coordinate to your mentors po to give the site po or the link to the intranet site. Is there any more questions po? Ayan, may mga dumadating pa po. My kid wants to be a YouTuber or influencer. Should I encourage this?
We can encourage the child in a way that you appreciate that the child wants that kind of interest. But ask the child what prompted him to like that kind of job, to be a YouTuber. Kasi maybe he's into that. Or maybe there are his friends who are in depth in that kind of interest. So it's good to acknowledge. Let's always start with acknowledging, because sometimes we tend to react amazingly. What? A YouTuber? No? Sometimes we have to be careful, no? Oh, I see. You want to be a YouTuber. What prompted you to become a YouTuber? How come you like doing it? What is it that you like? So that we would better understand our children.
Thank you, Miss Maricel. One more question. Love this session. Thank you to, I think, can we record a joint session where both student and parent can attend? So I think it will be answered by Miss Eden in our chat box. So if you have any more question, you can keep it coming po. We would like to entertain all of your questions regarding the talk po. So for some of you who are not aware of it, some of the questions are being answered by Miss Eden, our head of our unit head of the Center for Student Wellbeing. So makikita niyo po yan sa Q&A box. Is there any more questions po, dear parents? Okay, I think all of the questions are answered na po. We hope you learned a thing or two sa ating webinar, and we hope we help you in assisting your children in their own career path. So once again, on behalf of Elizabeth Seton School, we would like to thank Ms. Maricel Candelaria for sharing her time and expertise today. We award the Certificate of Appreciations, which reads, this Certificate of Appreciation is awarded to Maricel Candelaria for her invaluable contribution as a resource speaker during the Career Parenting webinar, entitled, The Future is Here, Helping Setonian Parents to Become Career Advocates. Given this 15th of October 2022, Elizabeth Seton School, signed by Dr. Roberto T. Borromeo, our President. Thank you again, Miss Maricel Candelaria.
Thank you, my honor and pleasure.
Thank you.
Ms. Maricel.
Yes po, Miss. Ayan. So we will just take time for the picture taking po, Miss Maricel, for the documentation. Okay. Parents, we remind you to accomplish the evaluation form through the link posted on the chat box. So makikita niyo po siya sa chat box natin. We will also be sending this to your registered email addresses to help us improve our services. For those parents who were unable to attend this webinar, we will be posting this webinar's recording on our intranet and ESS website. So we hope you consider we encourage you to to answer our evaluation form to help us improve our services po. Okay. Parents, join us for the closing prayer and the singing of Setonian hymn. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Father, the first rule of our dear Savior's life was to do your holy will. Let your will at the present moment will be the first rule of our daily life, and work with no other design for its most full and complete accomplishments. Help us to follow it faithfully so that doing what you wish will be pleasing to you. Amen. Mother Seton,
Pray for
pray.
us.
God has done great things for us.
May
May
God
God be
forever
forever praised.
Hallelujah.
In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you, dear parents. We also thank you for being our partners in helping to shape your children's future. Rest assured that our office is always open should you need further assistance in ensuring the well-being of your children. Stay safe, everyone, and God bless us all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, parents.
Thank you po. I will be leaving now. God bless.
Thank you, Miss El.
Thank you.
you, Miss.
God bless, Elizabeth Seaton.
Thank you so much po.